And welcome back. Got a little bit of a short video for you today. If you remember in the previous video when we installed our Pro Clip cell phone holder, I made mention that in this particular RAM we did a cabin air filter mod. Now the particular trim level that this RAM 2500 is, it didn't originally come with a cabin air filter, but it's actually a pretty easy and straightforward mod to add that. And if you Google search, RAM cabin air filter mod on YouTube, you'll find more than enough examples of how to perform that. And what I'm going to show you here is just getting access to that area, which is the same procedure you would need to do the mod as well as replace the filter. So in this one, again, what we're going to do is where the best access to it is behind this little cubby section, which is above your glove compartment. So if you remember in the previous video, that's one of the reasons why we didn't use the double-sided tape on this mount. It's because we knew we were going to open up this little cubby area to gain access to what's behind it. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. There we go. Let's get that piece of paper out of there. So what I'm going to do first is drop this glove box down a little bit so I can get behind this to push out this little compartment. Again, all that's holding this compartment in is just some double-sided clips that just clip in place. Now you can see up here, the provisioning's there, and it'll be a modification I'll look into later, but I believe that is provisioning to have like a little light switch here and a little light here just to kind of illuminate that area when you open this up. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go fetch a light to make this a bit easier to see. And the first thing we're going to do is drop this glove box down a little bit. And if you can see this piece right here, what this is, that's a dampener and or brake that's attached to this piece of string here. So that way when you open up your glove box, you get that nice slow descent, so it just does all of a sudden slam. But what we need to do is kind of pop that piece out so this glove box will lower more, and we can get access into behind it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it to this point, go get a light, and I'll be right back. Okay, there we go. That should be a lot easier to see. What I'm going to do is, there we go, I'm going to just pick up the glove box a little bit and just kind of put a little bit of pressure on that. You can see that'll push down out of that little semicircle tab at the top, and then we can just push that all the rest of the way through, unclipping it, and there we go. Now it's gonna shoot up kind of out of your way where you can't hear it because it is spring loaded, but don't worry, just remember that when we go to reassemble it, we'll need to pull that down and kind of hold it in place until we get it reclipped. But from here, you'll notice there's just a little tab right there. Hopefully you can see that tab. And all we have to do is kind of pull in on the glove box enough to get that tab to clear this side trim and the glove box. And it's the same thing on this side as well. There's another tab there that hopefully you can see that one. So I'm just going to pull in on both sides of the glove box to get those tabs to clear, and then the glove box should drop down. I'm going to go ahead and take care of that, and I'll bring you back. Okay, so welcome back. And as you can see, we've got our glove box out. So in the saw in the previous video, once you push the sides of the glove box together and get these pins to clear these side pieces here and here, the glove box will then move down far enough it'll literally kind of fall out in your hand. So be careful of that. The way it hinges is these little semicircle clips you see here at the bottom go into these areas here. So what I want to show you here is that with the glove box removed, you have access to where that air filter sits. Now, if you're doing this mod for the first time, it's easier if you also take out this upper cubby hole, and that is to facilitate you cutting the piece of plastic that blocks you from inserting a filter. Because when it's not here, there's a small barrier, small piece of plastic that's molded into the mold that
you can literally follow the outline of it, at least I did, with a small razor blade, kind of etching your way through it until you get enough of the way through you can finish punching that piece of plastic out. And it's easier to get to this upper part and cut it if this cubby hole isn't in here. Now this box here is held in by a series of clips, and if you can see it there, let's get some light in on it. One small bolt right there, and what you're going to want to do is remove that one, and I believe that is an 8mm, 6 or 8mm. And once you have that removed, you can then just kind of reach up in here, get your hand behind, and I'll show this to you because what you're seeing here is the back of this cubby. Just get your hand behind here and kind of push on this and start to snap those clips out that finish holding this in place. And that should get that cubby hole to completely come out. Because yeah, I do believe, yeah, that is the only bolt that holds it is on the left hand side of the box. The rest is just clips. But again, that's to facilitate you being able to cut this top piece to get that piece of blocking plastic out of the way so you can get the filter in. But with the glove box down, we've got access to it. So just like with any of the newer, or I should say at least the newer Mopar Chrysler setups, this door, there's just a little plastic tab on this side that you push in. And you see, there you go, the door will fall out, gives you the direction of airflow, tells you airflow goes straight down, if you can see that. There we go. And there's our filter. We should be able to just pull the filter out. There we go. And you will kind of have to scrunch it and contort it and twist it as you see me doing here to get it out. Now, yeah, this filter's not too bad, but you can see some debris in it. Yep. You can see some pollen in there. A little bit, not too bad though. We're going to go ahead and replace it. Here's a little bit more. So CP671, which we have a replacement for right here. CP671. And yes, this is not an OEM filter. And in this case, when it comes to filters, you know, this filter seems to be a nice quality filter. Also, it has the carbon impregnated into it as well. This filter actually came with the kit when you do the mod, and I'll put some links in the description. But if you choose to do this mod, there are a lot of individuals on Amazon that will sell you the door that you need, as well as the filter that you need for your particular application in the kit. And that's what came with this kit. So I just ordered the exact same filter to kind of go back in it. But to show you that door there, and you can see where I had to cut out that piece of plastic. So what it is you've got a, like I said, a really small piece of plastic that's a part of the molding that just blocks this area off. And when you look at that molding, it'll actually have a seam or a crease in it that runs through there. So I was able to just use that seam as a guide and just kind of put a nice sharp razor blade on it, and be careful when you do that, and just kind of etch my way through it, and made a few passes until it got thin enough I could kind of just push that piece of plastic out. Now when you're doing it, be careful that you don't push a piece of plastic into the fan. That would be a bad thing to do. You definitely want to fish it out if you do, and be mindful that you'll also have to notch out your little square that you see there. You can see I messed up the square on this one and actually broke a little bit of the plastic, but no harm, no foul. It didn't, break the sealing surface. But you're going to have a little square notch there and a square notch there to account for, because it will interfere with the plastic door when you go to put in on that tab there and that tab there. That's what those square notches accommodate for. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this air filter replaced. Again, the door itself is
gives you the direction of airflow, as well as the filter also gives you the direction of airflow. So I'm going to go ahead and get this filter unboxed, and I'll bring you back. Okay, welcome back. I'm going to try to get some light in here to show you this, but I also have to keep the light kind of out of the way to get this filter in. Just as the way it kind of came out is kind of the way you have to put it in. And remember, our airflow is down, so we've got a filter with our airflow direction, airflow arrow pointing in the right direction. And it looks like it's kind of best just to put it in at an angle this way, go up high, get the back corner. Let me get the light back up in here. We've got some hope of seeing this. So that rear corner of that filter element starting inside the door, and then as you get it in, start to rotate the filter, and as you can see, the back will then slide in. So you can kind of see you're right up against the right hand edge of this glove box opening. So just kind of keep pushing it, and you may have to kind of wiggle it a little bit. There we go, because you're already in a little bit of angle, but once it straightens up, there you go. Filter is in. Then we can take our door, and I found it easier because you can tell getting a hold of this clip here on this other side is a little bit difficult because it's pretty far back. It's just to take your filter door and clip it onto the backs, this far left hand side one first. There we go. Make sure it's there, and then come in here and push a little bit on the right, and you probably heard that click in place. Let me remove that so you can hopefully hear that again. So I'm going to put the left hand in first. It's latched. Push in on the right hand side, and then just take my finger and hopefully you'll hear it. There we go. And then get the right hand clip back in place, and there you go. We've got our cover re-secured. We've got our filter replaced. So what we're going to do now is just put our glove box back in, and that is just going to be the reverse. But as we were talking about earlier when we took it out, the little lanyard piece or the little brake piece is right here. It'll want to coil itself back up. So just take it and slowly pull it out. You don't want to pull too hard because you don't want to damage it, because the travel only travels so far. You're going to want to kind of hold this off to the side while you reseat that glove box. So that way, otherwise if you let this go, it's going to kind of go up there and maybe be a little bit out of your reach. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this glove box positioned. I'm going to get this positioned, and then I'll bring you back. And welcome back. So you can see what I'm kind of doing here with one hand is I've got that dampener in between my fingers, and I'm just using my thumb to hold the glove box in place. Because again, those bottom hinges are just semicircles. They don't clip in place. They just kind of sit down where they need to be. But you can see the side tabs of the glove box aren't in. So I'm going to squeeze the glove box together. I'm going to try to do this while holding the camera. There we go. That one's in, that one's in. Now once this is in, so now the glove box will hold itself, so it'll free your hands up. You can then push the glove box up a little bit to give yourself some slack, so you can get your side piece back in. There we go. And hold on, let me grab a flashlight. Hold on. You're gonna go dark for a second because I need to move you out of the way. There we go. Now we can hopefully see that a little bit better. There we go. So now we've got that through there. We've got it through. Now all you're going to do is you're going to push up until it seats back into that semicircle. And there we go. So now we got our dampener reattached. And we'll just test that real quick. There we go. And that's pretty much it. I mean, as you saw, it does work. You can see there's quite a bit of debris once again inside this old filter. So it does actually do a fairly decent job of keeping the pollen in the dirt. At least you're filtering some of the air.
coming into the cabin versus none at all. Granted, you know, the cabin, most like with any vehicle, it's not airtight. You're still going to get some air into the cabin that's not filtered, but at least what's blown in your face and being pulled in from the outside world is now got something of a filter on it. Like I said, it's not too bad of a mod to do. That's the nice thing about the mass production of vehicles, is that since there are some trim levels that do come with a cabin air filter, you can see that the provision to put the filter was there. All we needed was the filter itself, the door to put over it, and just a little time to cut out, like I said, that blocking piece of plastic. But I'll have links in the description to the kit I used for this particular, again, it's a 2016 2500. And again, if you YouTube search, you know, Ram cabin air filter mod, you'll find more than quite a few videos of individuals that also kind of walk through this step by step as far as the mod itself. Well, with that being said, since you've made it to the end of this video, if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing if you found the information helpful. If you also wouldn't mind putting a comment down in the comment box below. Again, I'd like to save these type of announcements to the end of the video. I don't like to ask people to subscribe at the beginning, but if you've made it to the end of the video and you found the content useful, please consider subscribing. We've just hit over the 800 member mark, which is fantastic. Thank you all for that. We're getting closer and closer every day to that 1,000 user mark. And once we get there, we can, you know, start to monetize the channel and make doing upgrades a bit easier to perform, as well as give us the ability to do even more upgrades. As far as getting hold of a project car, a little bit of update there. There are a couple of cars that we've been watching that now have been assigned their auction dates. We are actively bidding on those cars now, so hopefully we will be able to win one of those vehicles. And when we do, we'll be able to bring some very nice content to the channel. So again, don't worry, we're working on it. As soon as we can get hold of a project vehicle, we definitely will. And more stuff will be coming. So apologize for the delay and the kind of a lack of the videos lately. But again, we're working on getting some useful stuff added to the channel itself. So again, long-winded way of saying, if you haven't subscribed before and you wouldn't mind subscribing, please do so. It'd be it'd be helpful to the channel and much appreciated. Thank you much. Bye.